Imagine a world where the cross still stood, but the message remained silent. What if Saul of Tarsus had never become Paul? What if the most influential apostle in Christian history had never existed? Without his relentless journeys, without his revolutionary letters, without his transformative theology, the Christianity we know today simply wouldn't exist. We're not talking about a small change. We're talking about a theological earthquake that would have completely redrawn the faith of billions of people. This isn't just alternate history. It's a deep investigation into how a single man shaped the destiny of an entire religion. And what you're about to discover will shake everything you thought you knew about the origins of Christianity. I'm Guillaume, and today we're diving into the greatest what-if in religious history. Before we explore this alternate scenario, we need to understand who Saul of Tarsus was and why he matters so much. Saul of Tarsus was a zealous Pharisee, a relentless persecutor of early Christians. He was present at the stoning of Stephen, the first Christian martyr. His mission was clear: destroy this nascent movement before it could spread. But then the improbable happened. On the road to Damascus, Saul had a vision that changed everything. A blinding light, a divine voice, and within days, Christianity's greatest enemy became its greatest defender. He adopted the name Paul and began a journey that would last decades. Paul wrote at least 13 of the 27 works in the New Testament. He established Christian communities throughout the Roman Empire. Most importantly, he was the theological architect who transformed Christianity from a Jewish sect into a universal religion. Without Paul, history would be radically different. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any content that will expand your mind. Let's start with the crucial moment. It's the year 34 AD. Saul is on his way to Damascus with letters of authorization to arrest Christians. But in this alternate scenario, there's no blinding light, there's no heavenly voice, there's no dramatic conversion. Saul arrives in Damascus and fulfills his original mission. He arrests the followers of Jesus. The Christian movement in the region suffers a devastating blow, but the butterfly effect begins immediately. Without Paul, there's no one with the unique combination of Pharisaic education, Roman citizenship, and missionary passion to take the gospel to the Gentiles in a systematized way. The original apostles in Jerusalem remain focused primarily on the Jewish community. Peter, James, and John continue preaching, but their vision is geographically and culturally limited. Early Christianity remains fragmented. Small, isolated communities exist in Jerusalem, Antioch, and a few neighboring cities, but there's no explosive expansion that characterized the first century under Pauline influence. Here's where things get really fascinating. One of Paul's most revolutionary contributions was arguing that Gentiles, non-Jews, could become Christians without first converting to Judaism. This meant it wasn't necessary to follow the complete Mosaic law, including circumcision. This was an explosive debate at the Council of Jerusalem around 50 AD, and Paul was the most influential voice arguing for the inclusion of Gentiles without complete Jewish requirements. Without Paul in that discussion, the outcome would likely be different. In this alternate scenario, Christianity remains essentially a Jewish sect. To become a Christian, you first need to become Jewish. This means circumcision for men, Sabbath observance, strict dietary laws, and the entire structure of the Torah. Imagine the impact. The barrier to entry becomes much higher. Expansion throughout the Greco-Roman world slows dramatically. Christianity doesn't become the universal religion we know, but remains a variation of Judaism. Synagogues, not churches, become the centers of Christian worship. Share this video now. Your friends need to know this incredible perspective. Let's talk about doctrine. Paul's letters, Romans, Corinthians, Galatians, Ephesians, form the backbone of Christian theology. Concepts like justification by faith, the church as the body of Christ, the nature of grace versus works, the relationship between law and gospel, all of this comes primarily from Paul. Without Paul, these concepts either don't exist or develop very differently. Christian theology would be built primarily on the Gospels and the teachings of the original apostles who personally knew Jesus. The focus would be more on the words and actions of Jesus than on sophisticated theological interpretations. The doctrine of salvation would probably be more works-oriented and less about faith. The emphasis would be on following Jesus' teachings and living a righteous life within the framework of Jewish law. The concept of divine grace would still exist, but not with the radical centrality that Paul gave it. The vision of the church would be completely different. Paul developed the idea of the church as a mystical body of Christ, a spiritual community transcending ethnic boundaries. Without him, the Christian community would remain more tribal, more connected to Jewish identity.
Now, let's think on a civilizational scale. In our real world, Christianity spread rapidly throughout the Roman Empire, eventually becoming the official religion in 380 AD under Theodosius. This fundamentally shaped Western civilization. But without Paul's missionary journeys, without his communities established in key cities like Corinth, Ephesus, Philippi, and Rome, this expansion would have been much slower and limited. Paul had a brilliant strategy. He went to important urban centers, established communities, wrote letters to keep them connected, and trained local leaders. He created a network that functioned like a nervous system for early Christianity. Without this network, Christianity remains concentrated in the Middle East. Perhaps it eventually reaches Rome and other parts of the empire, but decades or centuries later. And when it arrives, it's as an exotic Jewish sect, not as a universal religion. The Roman Empire probably never fully Christianizes. Perhaps paganism remains dominant, or maybe a different form of monotheism, like the cult of Mithras, or even a reformed version of Judaism fills the spiritual vacuum. Europe never becomes Christian in the sense we know. There's no Christian Middle Ages. There's no Renaissance inspired by Christian themes. There's no Protestant Reformation because there's no Roman Catholic Church to reform. Think about the cultural implications. Without a dominant Christianity in the West, we don't have the Christian art that defines centuries of human expression. No Michelangelo painting the Sistine Chapel, no Bach composing his sacred cantatas, no Gothic architecture of cathedrals dominating European cities. Western philosophy would be unrecognizable. Augustine, Thomas Aquinas, the entire scholastic tradition, none of this exists without a robust and theologically sophisticated Christianity. Even modern science would be affected. Many of the founders of science, Newton, Kepler, Galileo, were deeply Christian whose work was partially motivated by the desire to understand God's creation. Without this context, the scientific revolution takes a different path. Don't forget, like this video and subscribe. We'll continue exploring these fascinating themes.
So, we return to the original question. What if Paul had never converted? The answer is frightening in its magnitude. Christianity, if it survived, would be a fundamentally different religion, a regional Jewish sect, not a world faith, a tradition focused on works and law, not on grace and faith, an ethnic community, not a universal church. The Western world would be unrecognizable. Different values, different institutions, different artistic and intellectual expressions. It's impossible to overstate how much a single man, Saul of Tarsus, shaped not only religion, but the entire trajectory of civilization. This leads us to a profound reflection. History is not inevitable. It hung on moments of individual choice. One man on the Damascus Road, a vision, a conversion, and the world was never the same. And you? What do you think of this alternate history? Share your thoughts in the comments, and be sure to share this video with someone who likes to think outside the box. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because every week we bring content that will challenge your perspective on history, faith, and culture. I'm Guilherme, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then.